Buenos dias. Grab a cup, have a sip. I certainly need it. I have 2 cups of freshly brewed artisanal espresso with my latte. Good morning. It is Friday, November 21st. Good morning, Ted. We survived. We survived Business Central. We survived the cyber attacks. I'm not so sure we're going to survive the coming AI overlord apocalypse, but okay. So Ted says audio is good. I didn't even check. Yeah, we have audio. Okay. Audio levels are a little janky. Not sure what's going on. Surprisingly, one of the most challenging aspects to this is audio. Good audio takes effort, takes a lot of money, and then getting the audio levels right, I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, good morning. Let me just switch around my global control studio here and get set up. Come on in. What are you working on? Ask some questions for which I will not have answers, most certainly. This morning's comic is a take on Randall Munroe's XKCD infrastructure comic, and someone modified this to include Cloudflare, Amazon East, Azure, and some open source project you've never heard about. I'd say that's fairly accurate. Okay, let's get going because I have a call with a very important individual in less than an hour. So last weekend, El fin de semana, car troubleshooting. It was interesting. So it was raining in Los Angeles, and I tried to turn on my windshield wipers. That worked fine. But my car has a windshield wiper on the back window. I go to try to turn that on. Nothing. And I tried to do the little windshield sprayer thing. Nothing. So the windshield wiper and the spray on the back window just didn't work. So I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like, never had a problem at all. So I would call that suddenly stopped working. So naturally, I asked Perplexity. I'm thinking, okay, I tell it the car model. I tell it the problem, and I'm thinking, oh, it's going to say, here's the issue. Well, it went into generic troubleshooting mode. It's like, well, let's discuss that. A common cause of this issue is a blown fuse, and it just goes down the list, and it's very, very generic. So I look at fuses, I open up the panel, I get on my hands and knees and try to look at the fuse panel that is upside down that you literally cannot see. Neither could I. And so I pull fuses, I check fuses under the dash, I check fuses under the hood, I check relays, nothing. And so I go old school and I actually do a web search. That's where you type a question in a web browser and then you have to manually, like a caveman, sort through the results and try to figure out what's relevant. Well, a top hit was a forum for my car. Excellent advice, by the way. And I found a 2017 post saying someone with the exact same issue, and the response was, yeah, make sure the back window is rolled up all the way. So it turns out somehow I bumped the switch or something. It moved down an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch or something. Totally, you can't tell. And when the window's down even slightly, it disables the wiper and the windshield sprayer in the back window. Sure enough, move the window, slides right up, works perfectly fine. So AI failed me and a 2017 post. So back to that infrastructure forum diagram, add forum post from a decade ago, right? Lots of rain here in Los Angeles. It was last weekend and it is back for this weekend. And oh my gosh, video games these days are going crazy, and the understandable. They're trying to fight cheating in video games, which is a really rampant problem. And so it was raining, it was cold. I'm not going outside, so I'm like, oh, let me get this new video game and try to play it and play it horribly. And so when it launches, it gave me these warnings before, but I thought I'd fix it. Well, they've upped their game even more. It told me that I needed a BIOS update on my PC. Windows certainly doesn't do that, but this game is saying you need to update your BIOS. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Secure boot requisite not met. I'm like, I just enabled this. What's going on? Well, amazingly, Call of Duty Activision, whoever owns this now, they have really good documentation. And even I, the clown that I am, could follow it. And so it's giving me instructions, telling me where to check and sysinfo. And sure enough, it wasn't enabled. I go to enable it and it says it's still not good enough. Turns out that in 2021, AMD released an invalid firmware for AMD-based CPU motherboards that gets incorporated by the OEMs, the motherboard manufacturers, into BIOS for the AMD chipsets and CPUs. And it turns out that they had an invalid something or other that was a non-compliance TPM secure boot block. I have no idea. And so even if you had the latest BIOS and you updated it, it's invalid for TPM and secure boot. So I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I've got to buy a new motherboard to play a video game. Fortunately, Gigabyte did have a new release. It didn't update to the latest version for some reason. I had to manually download it, update it. That wiped my TPM, said, I had no warning. After I rebooted, it said, oh, by the way, we've wiped your TPM. If you have whatever the BitLocker encryption on your hard drive, it's too late. Once this boots, you will not be able to access it if you don't know your BitLocker key. I'm like, thanks. Fortunately, I diligently had disabled BitLocker on this computer, which is useless to me, and I was able to boot. I was able to reconfigure all my BIOS and get a game to work. 2 hours to figure this out, fight with this, even with AI's help. Unbelievable. So video games are becoming punishing, and I'm hearing that gaming on Linux is making some progress. I guess Steam has their game store for Linux, and then there was something about a Steam PC, or I don't remember who makes it, but it's like this little Linux box that's kind of like runs Arch Linux, and it's trying to start to compete with a Linux-based gaming console. So fingers crossed, hope that works out. That would be nice. And then on Sunday, I worked on an idea, don't hold me to it, for AL Vibe Coding, a new live stream dedicated to me doing, like, if you're familiar with Dave Letterman's Stupid Dog Tricks, this would be Steve doing AL Vibe Coding. Ah, hello, Eric, the steam machine. It sounds like something you would use to get wrinkles out of your clothes, but yes, the steam machine. So I fully support them in spirit. I'm not about to buy one right now. I've never owned a gaming console, but it would be nice to get away from this just growing Windows nightmare. I get that they're trying to patch holes left and right, but man. Anyway, and you know that the game hackers won't be able to figure out Arch Linux, so I think we'll be safe for a little while. Okay, so vibe coding live stream. Now, I did all this on Sunday, and we'll get to this. My live stream may be obsolete before it even starts. So, my idea of what I was going to do and do AL vibe coding and just kind of do the Bob Ross, that may be an anachronism by next week. So, we'll see. We'll see. It may be a very short lived live stream. Weekly projects, Business Central certifications and training. Finally resurrecting this for the El Salvador team and perhaps myself, although I'm kind of lazy. AL vibe coding topics and ideas, again, to go to that live stream. Statement of work, requirements, and design. Man, help me out here. How do you, if you're a consultant or a partner, I am spending so much time. It is so tedious to do these statements of work because a partner says, oh, it's just a XYZ import. How hard can it be? Come on, just give me a quote. And then I ask 3 questions and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no customer number in the invoice file. You see the problem with that, right? Like, oh yeah. Well, other than that, it's just really easy. So just give me a quote. I swear, over and over. So I'm spending 4+ hours on every statement of work. I need to figure out how to charge for this. I'm just kind of baking it into the, I don't know. It's so tedious. It's becoming my least favorite thing that I want to do. And Eric says, just vibe code the SOW and quote. I tried. I seriously tried. The AI is so bad, so bad at writing a statement of work. I tried to feed it my writing styles. I tried to have it read through all my blogs and write in my writing style. It was horrible, horrible. It was like a 6th grader writing a 3-paragraph essay. It just embarrassing. Maybe no one would notice because no one actually reads what I write, but I would just be so embarrassed to put that out there. I couldn't do it. Dynamics GP customer investments. Every day I'm just shocked that a customer is spending tens of thousands of dollars to further integrate, further entrench themselves into the Dynamics GP ERP system, which they themselves barely know how to use. It is, I'm not sure what I'm watching, but I see it every single week. Customers spending tens of thousands of dollars. I was like, project management lessons. Oh, these are painful. Painful. Monday, I've been obviously had a cold for the last few weeks, and strangely, what I had for several days was really bad headache. I don't know if it's technically a migraine, kind of feels like a migraine, not like crazy symptoms, but like I didn't want to do anything. And so I'm sitting at my desk and I've got the 4-monitor amphitheater sitting here, and the light coming off the monitor was like, okay, this is not going to work anymore. It's the first time I've ever experienced this. I mean, they've been bright, but this was like, yeah, I want to wear sunglasses. So I tried dark mode, and I just like certain things I can do dark mode for certain apps, but overall I cannot be 100% dark mode. And one of the main reasons is because I use Office so much, and I would consider myself a power user of Office. Not to brag, but I use a lot of features in Office. So if you're just doing text, fine, you can pull it off. If you're just a dev and you're in dark mode in VS Code, fine. If you're in Linux and you're a terminal person, fine. But things start to break down when you have more complex documents. Screenshots are in white mode, obviously. When you do a lot of formatting and you're using the toolbar, the toolbars in Office were clearly designed with a light mode in mind. When you switch to dark mode, it's a little bit harder to navigate and to find stuff that you're looking for. And the behavior is not as good. Outlook, like, I suppose I could get used to this, but it just looks funky with the white lines in between every email. And so maybe there's an adjustment. But then I tried to work on like this PowerPoint presentation, and you can see picture format. You try to apply a format to the picture, and you can't really tell what effect is being applied. So the it was just written in a different era, and it doesn't fully convert to invert everything. And obviously the viewer, recipient, or whoever is seeing this, like this presentation is a white background, it just doesn't work well. So I kind of gave up. And I asked my developer about this, and he said the problem he had with it is he'd be working at white in dark mode, and he'd open a browser window and it would just blast him in light mode because it's a white background page. So like he said the discombobulation, just constant back and forth between white things and dark things, made it less comfortable than just dealing with light mode. So I gave up. So, and I did not enjoy the Microsoft Office. And this is an example. In dark mode, I highlighted text in yellow. Now, this text is not highlighted right now. I clicked off of it, but there's a bug. I can't reproduce it, but it kept the highlight in this dark yellow, if that's a thing. And I had to unhighlight it and rehighlight it to get it to be a proper yellow highlight. So it's not 100%. So I gave up, switched back to light mode, and I'm just like, whatever. But a few things, like I had Telegram in light mode, I switched that to dark mode. A few other things I switched over to dark mode, and those apps are okay. And Tuesday, did a little research and got some help prep for MB800 and MB820 for the Berlin team. MB800 doesn't look too bad, but it does get into detailed questions, the exam, like where do you find this posting configuration set up for this? And it's pretty obscure, and you got to know these menus and how to navigate to it. And hey, kill me for this one, but I did not know what what is it called? A configuration worksheet is. I'm familiar with configuration packets inside and out. Configuration worksheet. I just pulled up a random sample question I found on the internet. It says, how do you configure, or maybe it was in the curriculum. Here's how we configure configuration worksheets. So it's like, wait, what? What's a configuration worksheet? And I'm looking at it. I can't tell. Like I see it. I don't know what it does, how it works. I go and ask Perplexity and says, oh, a configuration worksheet is this. I'm like, what does that even mean? I literally didn't understand what it's trying to tell me. Then I said, what's the difference between a configuration package and configuration worksheet? Well, you see, there's this different. I'm like, what? How? Okay. I couldn't figure it out. I still couldn't figure it out. So I've asked Jocelyn and David, I was like, look, figure it out. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And I said, when was this released? And Perplexity thinks it's released around 2024. Like, wait, what? So I have no idea what it is. I see the words, I see the screenshot. I don't even know where to begin with it. So, anyway, I know what a configuration package is, and I'm just wondering, are we missing out on this thing called configuration worksheet? Is there anything of value? And maybe it can help you store whatever pre-configure company configuration. I don't know. Does anyone want to do that? I know Tanya and Alyssa don't do that. They just configure a company, and that's the prod company prior to go live, and you just don't touch it. But if we could extract that out in a worksheet and it actually works, I don't know, maybe that'll be valuable. Maybe we could use that to replicate in our sandboxes and have Jocelyn and David work on stuff so we're not having to work in the customer's environment. I don't know. Help me out here. So clearly there's stuff I do not know on 800. Definitely stuff I don't know on 820, although 820, it's like at least 50% of the content is like, what is Business Central? What is an ERP system? What is Admin Center? How do you copy a company? And I'm like, what? It is wild. I'm very confused by the content here. I understand the background, like no harshness, no criticism of people that had to create it given the constraints they were given. So anyway, we're going to work on that. They're going to get certified. They're going to get Microsoft certified trainer. And then we are going to provide Business Central training in Latin America out of El Salvador. either Berlin, El Salvador, or we'll probably have to host in San Salvador. We'll figure that out. But yeah, the idea would be to have a Business Central training center in Latin America with 2 or 3 Microsoft certified trainers on staff. And Latin America is a pretty big region, over 660 million residents in the region. However, Brazil is a little bit of an outliner. They are one of the largest, if not the largest population in Latin America, over 200 million people, but they don't speak Spanish. So the Berliners in El Salvador would be serving roughly 400, 450 million Spanish speaking residents of Latin America, or English for that matter, because we are a bilingual shop. So the smallest country in Latin America will be serving the Latin America region for Business Central training. That's the plan. I don't know if it'll work. We're going to give it a try. And if you didn't know, we have a full service white glove ThinkPad repair center in the town of Berlin, El Salvador, population less than 18,000 people on the side of a volcano. So if you happen to find yourself in the region and want to make the jaunt to Berlin, as you can see, we have a fully trained and experienced ThinkPad repair person on staff. And if someone just happens to be there with a ThinkPad X1 Carbon that has a bad keyboard that was discovered while in Poland, just reroute your flight, head through El Salvador, drive 3 hours to Berlin with your replacement keyboard, and David will take care of it. So David gutted an X1 Carbon and replaced the keyboard, $39 on Amazon, overnight delivery. And that was because Queen Tanya was in town. She just happened to stop by, brought her busted ThinkPad to David, and he fixed it in Berlin, El Salvador. I mean, if that isn't service, I don't know what to tell you. So Tanya got to visit first time she got to visit our fully refurbished headquarters with a nice hotel accommodations, premium coffee setup, right? Yes. Eric had to use Tanya's laptop. Yeah, she was ready to spend $1,500 to $1,800 to buy a new laptop because some of the keys on her keyboard didn't work. I'm like, stop, okay? I know a guy, okay? I know a guy who can take care of it. Order the keyboard, Amazon $39, overnight delivery to her customer site while she was traveling. And then she hopped on a plane to El Salvador, fixed. That's how we roll at the ERP Center of Excellence. We have saved thousands and thousands, like well over $10,000 or $15,000 by buying used laptops and being able to repair them ourselves. It's been very, very effective. On Wednesday, I had a call with a budding cybersecurity expert. And while I myself am not a cybersecurity expert, I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and I would love to be if I were reincarnated. I wouldn't mind being a cybersecurity person. I'd probably regret it, but hypothetically, I would enjoy it. So we worked together on a Dynamics Con session, and I submitted that, and that is cybersecurity for SMBs. Practical, pragmatic, 5 things you can do or whatever in order to improve your security posture as a small and medium business. So that was fun. We got that submitted, and I heard about something called anti-gravity. I'm like, I have no idea what people are talking about on Twitter. They're talking about anti-gravity, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know what it was. Well, apparently Google released their new AI next generation IDE, and holy bananas. I don't know if the demo is like, if I'm interpreting the demo right, but wow. Honestly, mind blowing. And, Buenos dias, Christian from Auf Deutschland. Guten Tag. Guten Abend. And Google anti-gravity. Holy cow. I watched the demo and maybe I'm misinterpreting, but I'm just thinking VS Code is like the horse-drawn carriage of IDEs, and it is about to get destroyed by tools like anti-gravity. Except for us poor schmucks are going to be stuck using it because we're locked into the Microsoft whatever. Now, Microsoft is probably innovating, and I saw some clues that they are working on this, but phenomenal demo. If you haven't seen it, go to it's like antigravity.google because of the new top TLDs that I mentioned in a prior live stream. Microsoft has a TLD and Google has a TLD. So antigravity.google and check out the video. And the guy did a phenomenal job. Like hats off to him as an engineer of being able to pull off that video. Really, really well done. And he shows how with one sentence prompt, I'd like to build a flight tracker website or application. It does everything. It does the planning, it does the to-do, it does the design, and it looks like it's kicking off multiple agents. So all this gyrations and contortions that we people have been doing to get multiple agents fired up, it's just built in as far as I could tell, and it is crazy. And genius move, they have a browser plugin. So the IDE is agents are communicating with the browser. So after it builds this website, it sends command to the browser plugin and tests your website. And you see the cursor moving in the browser and it's clicking through, entering data and fully testing. Whoa. And this is why I think my AL vibe coding live stream just died on Wednesday. I think this makes vibe coding seem quaint, like whittling on the porch. Like this thing takes vibe coding to an entirely new level. So I don't think we can use this for AL, but holy cow. I think the folks on the VS Code team, they probably knew of this, but wow, they are in trouble. So what used to be just this generic VS Code clone, and it's like, why is it any different? How does cursor, justify its value? Well, Google just took it to the next level with a crazy advanced IDE, very comprehensive. It's no longer about the LLM or the model. It is about the developer experience and all of the tools and agents and everything just coming together with a single sentence. Mind blowing. And that's the anti-gravity browser extension that they demoed in the video. I don't know if this is available publicly, privately, very, very limited beta. I don't know. It's like coming out of Google Labs or something. So I don't know if it's for public release yet or if it's just a demo. But to counter my optimism or fear, take it as however you want, this is funny. This is a tweet. I told Claude to one-shot an integration test against a detailed spec I provided. It went silent for about 30 minutes. I asked how long it was going twice, and it reassured me it was doing work. Then I asked why it was taking so long. Claude responded, "You're right to ask. Let me be transparent about what's happening. The reality, : I've been simulating progress rather than actually implementing the comprehensive test suite. This is a massive undertaking that I significantly underestimated." So it's not doing work. It's lying and pretending it's doing work. And then it's explaining how amazingly difficult it is for it to not do work and lie and fake and pretend that it's doing work. I mean, genius move. Hats off. And I love the transparency as well. Absolutely genius. So this is why I say that when someone says, well, why aren't you using multiple agents and MCPs and all this mumbo jumbo? I'm like, hey, if this is happening with one agent, imagine what happens with 12 agents. Yeah, like not going to happen. AI gaslighting. It's actually impressive, right? Like how demented or whatever you want to call it, these things can get like crazy. So AL vibe coding, let's talk about this. and my potentially immediately failed live stream idea, like dead before it was even born. There's a new kind of coding called I call vibe coding, and this is the OG post on Twitter by Andre Karpathy. And I don't know how this guy got so smart, but he's clearly next level genius. And I guess he worked at Tesla, OpenAI, and probably other places. And he is like the AI super genius oracle. So he is the one who apparently coined the term AI or vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget the code even exists. He just talks to composer using super whisper, so he barely touches the keyboard. He asks for the dumbest things like decrease the padding on the left or whatever. He doesn't read the diffs. When he gets error messages, he just tells him to fix it. The code grows beyond his comprehension, and he has to read through it. Sometimes LMs can't fix a bug, so we just work around it or ask for random changes till it goes away. So he says this is probably not stuff you want to use on medical devices, but he's like, hey, I just run stuff, copy paste stuff, and it mostly works. Now, is this the AI slapification of code? I don't know, but my ideas for an AL vibe coding live stream are things like this. Create a simple PTE, compare cursor and copilot, try different models. Can it generate sufficient or usable documentation or user guide? Can it pull off a complex report extension that gave my developer headaches? Can it look at my SOW, do a code review, and tell me what did I miss? Yes, in fact, it absolutely can. Does a phenomenal job of this. I have tested this. PR code reviews. I've heard of this. I've not tried it. I should be doing it. But big gap there in that I have not yet figured out how to connect one of these agents with DevOps. GitHub might be easier. I know there's an AL DevOps MCP, but I've heard it's kind of flaky. So I don't know. It's going to take some plumbing there, which I could vibe code, right? Custom telemetry, AL telemetry buddy from Waldo is kind of neat, but custom telemetry added to your app. DevOps integration. That would be my dream is, could we put issues in DevOps and have it vibe code that, do a check-in, do a PR, test it, and see whether it did the job? That's a lot of plumbing, so I'd need a little help there. Automated testing, custom web API is just a short list that I'd come up with, and I'm sure these would all be a disaster. So if you want to see a flaming dumpster fire, me trying to vibe code AL to do these more complex tasks, I mean, maybe it'll be more entertainment. And I have a great live stream theme. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chill. I like channeled some Bob Ross vibes there. So yeah, I've got it ready. I just need to do it and get it done. Christian says, we conduct a GitHub Copilot Day for our devs on Monday, 3rd this year. Every event grows by 50% in number of participants. Interesting. So it sounds like a hackathon, but with GitHub Copilot. Yeah, and so that's a great idea. So the challenge I have, my junior dev is using various tools, Claude Code, Cursor, Copilot, whatever. And he's doing kind of snippety things and very small focus things and doing copy and paste, kind of the old school version of AI coding. And my senior dev has tried to ask AI to do certain things, but he's usually working on more complex existing applications. And he insists it has been a train wreck every time. And he's just fighting with AI for hours. And he's just like, I give up. Like, I need to get work done. And now I'm behind the ball for several hours. So now it is my job to figure out, okay, how do we bridge this gap and make it effective for a senior dev on an existing production customer project? And so he's like, I've had enough. I am under the gun to be under budget. And so, Steve, knock yourself out, but I'm not going to waste my time on this anymore. So now I got to demonstrate and show techniques and prove that AI can vibe code 80, 90% of this stuff and save him time. And Yeah, not looking forward to it, strangely, but so the AL vibe code stream was my way to force myself to do it and be stupid and silly and have fun at the process. So we'll see. So awesome idea, Christian. I think that's a great corporate cultural thing to do. Thursday, those in the know that Thursday, yesterday, November 20th, is Beaujolais Nouveau Day. What is that, Steve, you might ask? Does anyone know Beaujolais Nouveau? Come on, chat, let me know. I was introduced to Beaujolais Nouveau through a French friend who I worked with back in the day at Deloitte & Touche. I was a young buck who didn't know anything about ERP. And so I met my friend from France and she introduced me to Beaujolais Nouveau, explained what it was. And so that is on my calendar every year. I've never attended a Beaujolais Nouveau Day event. Apparently tariffs and, transportation logistics are always a nightmare with Beaujolais Nouveau, but maybe someday I'll be able to do it. But I will try to go to a liquor store around here, find Beaujolais Nouveau, and they will literally have no idea what I'm saying. They've never heard of it at like Wine and More or whatever these giant liquor stores are. So yeah, best I can do is in 6 months, I might be able to find a bottle of Beaujolais Nouveau. US payment services. This was interesting. Like I'm aware of these AP automation services, these payment services that say, hey, we're going to save you time and money. And they show all these metrics and market statistics and surveys about how when we pay your bills, we will save your organization money and save you, improve your AP processes, whatever. But I don't know the details. So I was on the call with one of these services and a customer, and I was just there as sitting aside helping with something else. And the customer says, hey, we want to pay this bill. And the company says, okay. And the customer says, wait, today is the 20th. It says the payment will be issued on the 28th. And they say, yep, that's right. And they say, wait, that's 8 days. What if I don't want to wait 8 days? How do I issue a payment today or tomorrow? They said, oh, you can't do that. They're like, what do you mean I can't do that? 8 days to pay a vendor? Like, that's my only option? They're like, yeah, but you could sign up for our fast ACH service. It's like, wait, fast ACH? Yes, and that is where you sign up, you pay us extra, we have to do a full credit check and do a credit history on you and check your bank account balances. And then you get the privilege of paying us $5 for every ACH payment. And that cuts it down to 2 or 3 days or something like that. And this is apparently is how AP departments save time and money by using an outsourced payment processor service. Interesting. So they're just shifting the float. So instead of issuing checks or ACH to their bank and having the bank take the float, this AP processor is taking the float, charging a fee, and charging thousands of dollars for their services. I don't know that the maths, but it was interesting. And then when the project goes south, on a call, I was privy to this call where clearly, in my humble opinion, they are having severe project management issues. Very disorganized. I couldn't tell who was running the call. Lots of uncertainty, a lot of questions, a lot of like, who is doing this? What are we talking about? And like, not good. And someone from the customer is trying to figure out what's going on and essentially run this. And this person was very clear they had no idea what was going on. Massive communication issues like, wait, why didn't we know about this until now? So they've been doing this for months, and only during the call yesterday did they learn about a critical component of their overall process for this project, including requirements, implementation, user interaction. They claimed they were completely unaware of that. I'm like, whoa, I'm just going to, like Homer Simpson sliding in the bushes, I'm just going to sit back here and kind of try not to get in trouble, try not to get shot by this customer. Clearly issues with scope, requirements, and expectations. Clearly lack of knowledge. Clearly problems admitting the lack of knowledge. And I suspect part of the root cause of this was that a salesperson was eager to get the sale, said, yep, we can absolutely do this. We've done this before. maybe they've done it once or twice before, but the team doing this implementation has clearly never done it before. And the external project manager is just sitting there like deer in the headlights, clearly no idea what's going on. And she says, let me go back to our statement of work and our contract and see what was included in scope. No idea. It was like just watching the train wreck unfold in a 15-minute call. I was like, I don't think I want to be here. And I subsequently sent an email to this third party and said, I think you guys need help. Let me know if you want to have a call. They've declined twice. And I'm like, okay, it's your funeral, buddy. I'm happy to step away and not be involved in the lawsuit that's about to unfold. Wild. So I've shared this story with Fatima because she is studying for the PMI PMP certification. And I said, all these fancy terms you're learning are nice, but none of them compete with the reality of a train wreck and a dumpster fire project. That's what you need to be studying. That's what you need to prepare for. And that's what you need to learn how to deal with. Because if you have 4 people who are all fighting with each other, blaming each other for all the breakdowns in the project, because someone oversold and then 3 people won't admit they don't know what they're doing, it doesn't matter what the theoretical best practice is for the PMP process. So that was interesting. Rant concluded. Critical infrastructure. Holy cow. Ted, you can relate. You're with me there. It is, I said very hard. I should have said it's impossible. It's impossible to be an expert in everything. I'm just trying to do my day job, folks. I am not a ZTNA access tier expert. So here I am in Linux, Ubuntu server, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, trying to get this to work. And trying to open firewall ports, do NAT routing. Mike, you have got to be kidding me. So ZTNA, firewall. I talked to someone about code signing certs, entire domain, which they're trying to do, but that's not their area of expertise. They're just trying to develop software. Then they're fighting with a code signing cert. I'm like, okay, we had a discussion about what a root CA is because they didn't understand that concept. I'm like, yep, you got a problem with your cert. So I'm dealing with Ubuntu server, Linux installs, firewall configs, and I literally didn't even know this feature was in my firewall. And I've been using this firewall for years. I didn't know it had NAT routing policies separate from the access policies. I'm like, oh my God. And then I had to deal with Azure Geo Redundancy, which if you're using Azure and you're not using Geo Redundancy, you are just begging for trouble. So we have a registration system in Azure. We're using Azure SQL Database, Azure Functions in order to do our licensing, registration, subscriptions. Well, we have West US, East US, and we have manual failover for that. So I had to go in there, refresh my memory on how we had the SQL Server set up for redundancy, what the regions were, what does that look like in Azure Portal, how do I log in, how do I whitelist my IP, how do I do a backup, and I felt pretty dumb. I had never performed a manual backup of Azure SQL Database. Like you kind of aren't supposed to, you need to, right? It's full enterprise, SQL Enterprise, auto backup, point in time restore. Like, why would you ever need to do that? Except I know there are Azure outages all the time. So I did this for the first time and my mind was blown when I saw that Azure SQL Database exports to Azure Storage Container as a backpack. I had no idea. And I know a few of you are yelling at me, Steve, you're a dummy. Obviously, that's what it is. I thought a backpack was just some funky semi-proprietary backup process that Business Central used. Because I did know that when you go in Admin Center and you back up an environment, whatever, it backs up to Azure Storage as a backpack. I never looked up what a backpack was, never tried this on Azure SQL Database directly. I am now educated. So if you don't know what a backpack is and you've never done a manual backup of an Azure SQL database, I highly recommend it. It's a highly educational experience that will take you down entirely new rabbit holes. And you're like, I didn't know this existed. So the backpack format is actually pretty cool. Like it's kind of genius. I like it. It's got schema, metadata, and data in this nice little zipped up package, and seems to be space efficient as far as I could tell. So pretty cool. So yeah, like I'm relying on this infrastructure and I don't know how it works, just like I don't really know how an iPhone works or how Linux servers work, but I use those too. Anyway, cybersec stuff. Holy cow. Another week of disaster in cybersecurity. Eric says we already use backpacks with regular SQL Server. In the GP world, we only did traditional SQL Server backups with a .back file. I had never even heard of backpacks until Business Central, and I just thought it was some funky, weird backup of Business Central. So just like the things we walk past every day and we don't even know what it is, right? You're driving by a building every day, lo and behold, it's some amazing company or organization or whatever. Cybersec stuff. So this is pretty clever. This is a new malware campaign. New, I don't know if it's new, but first time I've seen it, where they leverage the CAPTCHA fatigue that everyone goes through to have users perform a step to manually install malware on their computer. So you see the reCAPTCHA, I'm not a robot, and it pops up verification steps. Press Windows R, Control V, and press enter. So it is having the user open the run prompt, paste in the malware download prompt, press enter to manually execute the malware on their PC. Cheers, like hats off, genius, truly genius. So CAPTCHA fatigue of clueless end users, having them run malware. And I had to look at this like, what are they having them do? So that was pretty clever. I could totally see people falling for that left and right. Next, Azure was hit with a 15 terabyte DDoS attack from 500,000 devices. So apparently they survived that, and 3.64 billion packets per second, targeting a single endpoint in Australia. So good job on that. And then I attended briefly another anti-siphon training, Black Hills Information Security webcast, how you got hacked, 2025 data deep dive, and it was supposed to recount the findings, results, conclusions of their pen test. But when I jumped on, they were just talking about other stuff, and I was late, so I didn't attend the full thing. But so I didn't get much value. But anyway, that recording is now available in case you are interested. And one of the quotes that I did pick up was one of the pen testers said, it was a woman, she said, when we pen test a customer who uses M365, the first thing we try to do is get their copilot to find sensitive information. So apparently for her or her team or her organization, one of the things they do is just go straight to the AI. And Copilot is considered kind of secure, but they're pen testers, right? So if they can get in, they don't go for email, they don't go for SharePoint, they go straight for Copilot to see if they can exfiltrate corporate data. So yeah. So no, Eric, not cybersec, cybersecurity. Yes, thank you. And yesterday I saw that this CVE was like bad day for Fortinet. A new series or cluster group of CVEs were announced yesterday that are apparently a series of kill chain or a series of CVEs that are used together. It's a cluster of them to just yet again compromise Fortinet network resources, cyber or portals or whatever. I don't know Fortinet that well, so FortiWeb, whatever that is. And so I saw this great image. It is a Fortinet appliance sitting on a dumpster in someone's front yard. So yeah, Fortinet is not doing well. I'd say they have finally surpassed SonicWall for having problems. And I got to wrap this up. Partner in Vibe Conference, January 28th through 30th, South Padre Island, Texas. I will be there. I don't know if we'll be presenting, but I have a flight and I need to get a hotel room. Directions NA, April 27th through 29th in Orlando. Dynamics Con, May 12th through 15th in Las Vegas. I've submitted 2 sessions now. And I think Brad and I submitted to Directions NA. I need to submit at least 1 or 2 more to Directions NA. Hopefully I can present there. Dynamics Minds, May in Slovenia. And Friday, Viernes. As I mentioned, statements of work are my current kryptonite. We just need to import cash receipts and apply them. Simple. Except the Excel data file cannot be changed. There's no customer number. The payments have one payment being applied to multiple invoices, and they have multiple invoices being applied to one invoice in one file. And I hate the payment journal line interface in Business Central, and I hate the apply entries. It is terrible. And yes, I'm happy to say I don't fully understand it, but look at the UI. It's just this horrible, weird, inconsistent kind of like populate stuff. And it's like, what is going on? Applies to doc number, applies to doc type, external document number, apply entries, and just, I give up. Like, it is a mess. And and then there's post as lump sum, which changed the behavior of the window. And so we're going to give this a try and see if we can pull it off. But yeah, I said, this is on you, partner. And this took several hours to extract all the requirements and prototype this and figure this out and do a workflow that works. Not fun. Summit NA Roadshows, December 9th in Houston, December 11th in Fort Lauderdale. Dynamics Con Regionals in 2026, Tampa in January, Vancouver in March, Denver in April. Double check the dates. And Excellence update. Jocelyn is fighting with RDLC, working on new config packages, and she will be studying for MB800, as will David. And David's also working with report layouts and simple object designer. He and Tanya are pushing SOD to what feels like some limits. And I'm like, you guys are kind of out on the ledge here. So you might be on your own if you have problems, or make Eric deal with it. Ronald has wrapped up his journey learning Makorma and Continia. And so he knows those. So now he is on to a new journey. Franklin is continuing to work on the partner dashboard. We are making progress there to automatically defer, or to click a button to defer the scheduled upgrade dates for our customer tenants and environments. And Fatima is almost done with her PMP certification prep, planning to start the exam or do the exam in the next couple of weeks. We're finalizing El Coyolar Christmas Festival, and I need to get back to having her sign up for a Dynamics user group. And wrapping things up quickly before my call, what tech companies think we want, and anyone who's built a PC or owned a desktop PC knows exactly what this is about. Like, I never have enough USB ports. I am usually exceeding them. And so, yeah, I can totally relate to this photo. So have some fun, work on some stuff, vibe code. I might do the vibe coding live stream this weekend. No schedule, just whenever I can pull it off. And come join me for that. It should be fun. I tried to have fun making it. So it's got a theme. It's random. It's going to be chill. So have a good weekend. Que tengas un buen fin de semana. Learn something. Okay. Adios.